Chapter 18 of the Book of Snobs. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. The Book of Snobs by William Makepeace Thackeray. Chapter 18. Party-Giving Snobs. Our selection of snobs has lately been too exclusively of a political character. "Give us private snobs," cry the dear ladies. I have before me the letter of one fair correspondent of the fishing village of Brighthelmstone in Sussex, and could her commands ever be disobeyed? "Tell us more, dear Mr. Snob, about your experience of snobs in society." Heaven bless the dear souls! They are accustomed to the word now. The odious, vulgar, horrid, unpronounceable word slips out of their lips with the prettiest glibness possible. I should not wonder if it were used at court amongst the maids of honor. In the very best society I know it is. And why not? Snobbishness is vulgar. The mere words are not. That which we call a snob by any other name would still be snobbish. Well, then, as the season is drawing to a close, as many hundreds of kind souls, snobbish or otherwise, have quitted London, as many hospitable carpets are taken up, and window blinds are pitilessly papered with the Morning Herald, and mansions once inhabited by cheerful owners are now consigned to the care of the housekeeper's dreary locum tenens, some mouldy old woman, who, in reply to the hopeless clanging of the bell, peers at you for a moment from the area, and then, slowly unbolting the great hall door, informs you my lady has left town, or that the family is in the country, or gone up the Rind, or what not. As the season and parties are over, why not consider party-giving snobs for a while, and review the conduct of some of those individuals who have quitted the town for 6 months? Some of those worthy snobs are making believe to go yachting, and, dressed in telescopes and pea-jackets, are passing their time between Cherbourg and Cowes. Some living higgledy-piggledy in dismal little huts in Scotland, provisioned with canisters of portable soup, and fricandeau hermetically sealed in tin, are passing their days slaughtering grouse upon the moors. Some are dozing and bathing away the effects of the season at Kissingen, or watching the ingenious game of trente et quarante at Homburg and Ems. We can afford to be very bitter upon them now they are all gone. Now there are no more parties, let us have at the party-giving snobs. The dinner-giving, the ball-giving, the déjeuner-giving, the conversazione-giving snobs. Lord, Lord, what havoc might have been made amongst them had we attacked them during the plethora of the season! I should have been obliged to have a guard to defend me from fiddlers and pastry-cooks, indignant at the abuse of their patrons. Already I am told that, from some flippant and unguarded expressions considered derogatory to Baker Street and Harley Street, rents have fallen in these respectable quarters, and orders have been issued that at least Mr. Snob shall be asked to parties there no more. Well, then, now they are all away, let us frisk at our ease, and have it everything like the bull in the china shop. They may not hear of what is going on in their absence, and, if they do, they can't bear malice for 6 months. We will begin to make it up with them about next February, and let next year take care of itself. We shall have no dinners from the dinner-giving snobs, no more from the ball-givers, no more conversaziones. Thank Mussy, as James says, from the conversazione snob. And what is to prevent us from telling the truth? The snobbishness of conversazione snobs is very soon disposed of, as soon as that cup of washy bohea is handed to you in the tea-room, or the muddy remnant of ice that you grasp in the suffocating scuffle of the assembly upstairs. Good heavens! What do people mean by going there? What is done there, that everybody throngs into those 3 little rooms? Was the Black Hole considered to be an agreeable reunion, that Britons in the dog-days years seek to imitate it? After being rammed to a jelly in a doorway, where you feel your feet going through Lady Barbara Macbeth's lace flounces, and get a look from that haggard and painted old harpy, compared to which the gaze of Ugolino is quite cheerful. After withdrawing your elbow out of poor gasping Bob Guttleton's white waistcoat, from which cushion it was impossible to remove it, though you knew you were squeezing poor Bob into an apoplexy, you find yourself at last in the reception room, and try to catch the eye of Mrs. Botibol, the conversazione giver. When you catch her eye, you are expected to grin, and she smiles too, for the 400th time that night, and, if she is very glad to see you, waggles her little hand before her face as if to blow you a kiss, as the phrase is. Why the deuce should Mrs. Botibol blow me a kiss? I wouldn't kiss her for the world. Why do I grin when I see her, as if I was delighted? Am I? I don't care a straw for Mrs. Botibol. I know what she thinks about me. I know what she said about my last volume of poems. I had it from a dear mutual friend. Why, I say in a word, are we going on ogling and telegraphing each other in this insane way? Because we are both performing the ceremonies demanded by the great Snob Society, whose dictates we all of us obey. Well, the recognition is over. My jaws have returned to their usual English expression of subdued agony and intense gloom, and the Botibol is grinning and kissing her fingers to somebody else, who is squeezing through the aperture by which we have just entered. It is Lady Anne Clutterbuck, who has her Friday evenings as Botibol (Botty we call her) has Wednesdays. That is Miss Clementina Clutterbuck, the cadaverous young woman in green, with florid auburn hair, who has published her volume of poems. The Death Shriek, Damiens, The Faggot of Joan of Arc, and translations from the German, of course. The Conversazione women salute each other, calling each other "My dear Lady Anne," and "My dear good Eliza," and hating each other, as women hate who give parties on Wednesdays and Fridays. With inexpressible pain dear good Eliza sees Anne go up and coax and wheedle Abba Gosh, who has just arrived from Syria, and beg him to patronize her Fridays. All this while, amidst the crowd and the scuffle, and a perpetual buzz and chatter, and the flare of the wax candles, and an intolerable smell of musk, what the poor snobs who write fashionable romances call the gleam of gems, the odor of perfumes, the blaze of countless lamps, a scrubby-looking, yellow-faced foreigner with cleaned gloves is warbling inaudibly in a corner, to the accompaniment of another. "The great Cacafogo," Mrs. Botibol whispers as she passes you by. "A great creature, Thumpenstrumpf, is at the instrument, the Hetman Platov's pianist, you know." To hear this Cacafogo and Thumpenstrumpf 100 people are gathered together, a bevy of dowagers, stout or scraggy, a faint sprinkling of misses, 6 moody-looking lords, perfectly meek and solemn, wonderful foreign counts with bushy whiskers and yellow faces, and a great deal of dubious jewellery, young dandies with slim waists and open necks, and self-satisfied simpers, and flowers in their buttons. The old, stiff, stout, bald-headed Conversazione Ruve, whom you meet everywhere, who never miss a night of this delicious enjoyment, the 3 last caught lions of the season, Higgs, the traveller, Biggs, the novelist, and Toffy, who has come out so on the sugar question, Captain Flash, who is invited on account of his pretty wife, and Lord Ogleby, who goes wherever she goes. Qu'est-ce que j'ai? Who are the owners of all those showy scarfs and white neckcloths? Ask little Tom Prigg, who is there in all his glory, knows everybody, has a story about everyone, and, as he trips home to his lodgings in Jermyn Street, with his gibus hat and his little glazed pumps, thinks he's the fashionablest young fellow in town, and that he really has passed a night of exquisite enjoyment. You go up, with your usual easy elegance of manner, and talk to Miss Smith in a corner. "Oh, Mr. Snob, I'm afraid you're sadly satirical." That's all she says. If you say it's fine weather, she bursts out laughing. Or hint that it's very hot, she vows you are the drollest wretch. Meanwhile Mrs. Botibol is simpering on fresh arrivals. The individual at the door is roaring out their names. Poor Cacafogo is quavering away in the music room, under the impression that he will be Lance in the world by singing inaudibly here. And what a blessing it is to squeeze out of the door and into the street, where 100 of carriages are in waiting, and where the link boy, with that unnecessary lantern of his, pounces upon all who issue out, and will insist upon getting your noble honour's lordship's cab. And to think that there are people who, after having been to Botibol on Wednesday, will go to Clutterbuck on Friday. End of chapter 18.